aware of that. I want to go back to something that the chairman and the ranking member discussed earlier in this, and I'm just taking a look at the CFPB's rural and urban designation map. CFPB has been trying, and frankly unsuccessfully, to define what rural and what urban is. In fact, at one point, CFPB even said that Yucca Mountain was in an urban area. Now, I'll support that designation if that keeps nuclear waste out of the state of Nevada. But I think they did reverse that particular decision. Well, I'm looking at this map, and I'm seeing communities like Pahrump, Mesquite, Moapa Valley, Fallon. I mean, these are very small communities. Fernley, Urington, Mendon, you can go on, Dayton, they're all listed. Senator McCollum and I have introduced legislation similar to what the House did. In fact, the House passed legislation that would allow rural constituents to make an appeal and present information to the CFPB and challenge their rural and urban designation. That passed the House, I think, with a 401 to 1 vote. I'd like to get from you, one, do you think there ought to be an appeals process? And number two, starting with you, Mr. Woods, whether or not you'd support this legislation.
I would, and I do believe there should be a process for appeal. There has to be. Mistakes are sometimes made, and they need to be pointed out in a way to correct them.
Thank you. Chris?
And I addressed this a little earlier in that I agree with you 100%. We actually had a incident in Arkansas that precipitated that. And, you know, the appeal doesn't mean that they're going to hear 8 million appeals. I think the facts are going to speak for themselves, whether they qualify or don't qualify. And in many cases, the decision will be able to be made quickly. So I strongly believe in the appeal process.
I listed 8 of them. So. Mr. Motley,
yes, I agree with you. I agree with that appeals process. And I would also urge you to emphasize that consumers will reap the most benefit from this act if the types of loans identified by CFPB as being critical for meeting the credit needs in rural areas, including loans that do not meet the 43% debt-to-income ratio, are considered qualified mortgages if either they are held in portfolio or sold to a creditor that holds them in portfolio.
Thank you. Ms. Woods, I'd love to get your support. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Gordon. Sorry, Ms. Gordon.
Well, so we have not taken a position on that legislation. It is the whole issue of rural designation is, of course, one of those things that's rife with complexity among a variety of agencies administering a variety of programs that go well beyond just housing-related programs. I will note we've been very engaged with FHFA on their duty to serve rulemaking, where strengthening credit to rural communities is a really important part of what Congress asked them to do there. They are in the process of that rulemaking, also looking at the question of rural designation, and I think that's a really important place to intervene as well.
Thank you. Thank you.